Okay, we're going to go over the concept of transparency in Maya. And this can be done a number of ways. You can put the mask for it inside of a TIFF object as an alpha channel, or you can put a make a mask and put it on your shader in Maya. Um, so first, we're just going to make a simple mask, and it's going to be 512. 512. And when you're masking things off in Maya, anything that's white in your mask is going to be opaque, and anything that's black, you're going to be able to see through. So if I make a circle in the middle here, move it right into the middle, I'm going to make the middle of it black, and there is our transparency mask. Just going to save this out. And put that out there and go into Maya. So here's just a cube with wooden slats attached to it, or applied to it. And if we go into our hypershade, we see our Lambert right over there that has the wood. So we want to look at the node structure over here, and we want to see the shader itself. I'm going to bring that up there with Control A. And so here is our texture for the wood. It's the color, also known as diffuse. And here's transparency. So if I click on this, I'm going to add a node to our shader. It's going to be a file. And I go over here, I find it was transparent mask, open that up, and then it goes in there. Now if I look back over here, aha, thank goodness, it worked. So now we can see that we have holes in each of the sides. And this is very handy when you want to fake something, because if we were to model all of this, it would be a lot of polygons. And here you can see just 6 sides and 6 polys, or 12 tries, and with the transparent texture. Now, a lot of things you can make. You can make a lot of things out of this. There's so many uses for it. There's leaves, there's grass, there's flowers, there's hair, there's like tree leaves. There's just any number of uses for having a transparent texture map where making everything out of polygons would just be completely um, it would just bog everything down. You can't have that many polygons. So let's go into making a transparent texture of a chain link fence in Photoshop. So first we want to find a chain link texture, and this is a real simple one right here. We could choose this one. Let's see if we can put it in here. All right, so we have a chain link fence texture right there. This looks like it's tileable, so that's good. We want it to be the right size, so we're just going to bring that down to all right, 1024 each. All right, so this is our mask now. However, it's inverted there. White is opaque, so between the chain link fences, everything is going to be opaque. In order to flip that, we press Control I, or we can go to Image, and I think it's Image, Adjustments, and Invert. So now we have the look that we want for our chain link fence. Um, But you still need your diffuse texture. And that's another thing. So if I go here and save this out as uh, chain link mask, we save that out. We're going to go back into Maya, and let's get rid of this guy. We're just going to create a plane. And a lot of wasted polys there, but we're going to ignore that for now. And we're going to apply a texture to it, just our wood. Now, if we go in here, we have our mask texture, but we don't want that mask anymore. We want the chain link mask. You can see that's what our chain link mask is looking like with the example node. And you look at that, and there's our chain link fence right there. It's on its side, so you can either move the texture or you can rotate this guy around. In this case, we're just going to rotate it like that. But you also see that the mask is for wood, so we don't necessarily want that. We'd want something that looks a little bit metal. Couple things that we could do. We could probably we could go over, find a texture for metal. Or we could, why don't we just do that? So find something that looks a little scratchy. Put that in there. Now that's too big, of course, so I'm using Control T for transform. Bring that in a little bit. And there's our metal. Go back into this object. We're going to look at our shader. And we're going to change the color texture from that wood to metal. And then check out what our fence looks like there. So it's looking better. You can see some of the watermark on there, which you don't really want. And that's basically how one makes a transparent texture or makes a fence. It's pretty super easy and straightforward once you go through the right steps. Now, say we want to actually put that mask inside of a texture. So we use the alpha channel of a texture. This can be handy if you want to keep your texture just in one file. So you have your diffuse, which is your color, and you have your mask, which is now in your alpha channel. I'm going to show you how to do that, and it's pretty simple. We have our two textures. We have our chain link, and we have our metal texture. So basically, we're going to take our chain link texture, and we're going to go into our metal texture, and I think these are two different sizes, so we'll have to fiddle with it. So we go into the channels tab over here. This is our layers that we see, our diffuse layers. We go into channel, and normally it should be set in RGB. Normally it's in RGB, so I'm going to create an alpha channel right here, and that's the new layer. So you can have any number of alpha channels in Photoshop, but for the purpose of making an alpha channel for a texture, you just want to have one. I don't know what would happen if you'd had more than one. And we're going to paste in our texture. It's too large, so we're just going to scale it down and double click in the middle to tap it down. Now we have our alpha channel. And if I go back here, you'll see that this is red. That means that the alpha channel is selected. We're not looking at the RGB. So we go over here and we click on RGB, and that'll bring it back. And now that looks fine. If I were to click on this and have this show, then you see now the alpha channel is superimposed over our diffuse texture. And that's all good, neither here nor there. And we're going to save this out instead as a TIFF. So we save as, oh, my mistake. I meant Targa. What was I thinking? Save it out as a Targa. All right, so we save it out as a Targa as metal alpha channel. And we select 32 bits. And now we have our alpha channel in our texture. Okay, so we're going to go in here. Let's create a cube. We just have a single plane. And go into our hypershade. Now we have this one over here. We don't need to mess with that one at all, but we're going to start with a new one. So we're going to go over here and create a Lambert. And we're going to look at it down here. So we graph it. And now all you have to do if you have a alpha channel inside of your TGA is you click on Color, File, and then open up an image. And it was metal with the alpha channel. Open that up. And now it looks exactly the same, but we have it coming out of just one image. And you can see it goes into the transparency right there. Okay, so click on this guy here. This is our new one. Apply that, and ka-ching. However, since we made a new object, you can see that the texturing is a little odd. It's a little off. It's just right down there. So we can planar. Click on that to create a planar map, and we have our texture right over there. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more tessellated, not tessellated, if you want to give it a little bit more links on there, you can just change that over there, or you can go in here and edit the UVs manually, just like that. And that's how you put in an alpha channel from a TGA.